wake up after dark, late night wake up. Okay, I like it. We were unable to come to you on Monday morning, and this Wednesday morning was the day we had to travel down to Santa Clara to get to a little mini camp. I put my eyes on the 49ers for the first time. Larry's down there an awful lot. Neither one of us got terribly sunburned today, so I'd say it was a halfway successful day for the both of us. Larry, what's going on?
What is going on? And normally we say good morning, but good evening to everybody. I'm about ready to tweet this out as well. I probably should have tweeted it out ahead of time, but I'll tweet it out right now. But yeah, welcome to the Krug Show meets Damon Bruce Plus. I'm watching over my right shoulder. I'm watching the Giants Diamondbacks on the replay. Looks like Elliot Ramos has just gone deep. They're up 2-1. But then, of course, we were down in Santa Clara today. We're going to talk a lot of Niner football for the next hour. And this was our final look-see at the 49ers until we get to see them in the summer in training camp.
And look,
so it was a big day today.
Questions you want to get in, we are taking video calls. Larry,
that's right. We're going to take video calls. Normally, see, Kevin and I usually go Wednesday night call night. And you know, we've since the Super Bowl, Kev's been real busy with school and everything, so we haven't done as many caller shows. But Wednesday night, which is tonight, since Damon's in the house and we were doing a show, we figured, you know what, we'll put the call link in the chat, so it's there, and I'll do it one more time. So if anybody wants to jump in, you know, Damon and I love taking video calls. It's actually one of the coolest things I think of YouTube, and we don't do it a lot, but you know what? That's because we do a lot of morning shows, and it's not really the caller time. But you know what? If you're sitting at home, it is 8:35 on the West Coast. That means it's 11:35 on the East Coast. So it's an evening show all across this fine country. And if you want to jump in with your video calls, feel free. Check the link or click the link in the description. It's listed there under the Krug Show. Show up in the green room. And if we don't recognize you, we won't put you up unless we see your camera. You got to have a camera to get through. That's part of the video call experience. You got to have a camera. And we don't go with anybody we don't know, and we don't go with anybody without a camera. So there you go. So get in the green room, and if we see you back there, we potentially could bring you in.
So look, Larry, I know you're used to going into training camp. You go an awful lot. You're there for most of the days. I go down a couple times a year. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I cover games. I don't cover practice. I think that there is an interesting takeaway from a few of the things, but it's really hard to discern what's going on when you're at the same ground level. You don't get a bird's eye view. You don't get that TV camera angle to really understand where everyone is on field relationships. It's garner from this what you will. But I'm always deeply impressed whenever I get into 49ers training camp, and I swear to God, it runs just more efficiently each and every year, as it should. But going into year 8 now for Kyle Shanahan, I mean, Larry, he's got minicamp running like a well-oiled machine. It is on Swiss watch time. I mean, there is not a second on that field wasted. It seems like if you are a young guy on this team, you better pick up what the Niners are laying down fast, because the NFL waits for no one to catch up. You better be on the same pace as the rest of your teammates. And that's what I saw. I saw a well-oiled practice machine today. I saw a coach who is deep into his own tenure, who has his way of doing things, who has his team leaders leading things the right way. Brock Purdy is very much the leader of this team. His OTA performance today was, pretty flawless from what I saw. His ball was coming out quick with zip on it, clean, lots of catches. The offense looked pretty darn good in the little bit that we were able to see. But it's a well-oiled machine. I mean, Shanahan and company got a real system down there, and it's precise and it's impressive when you put your back eyes on it, having not seen it for a year. And then, as always, you get away from football and you forget about the size and the speed. It's amazing how two things can sneak up on you each and every year. We've been covering this league now for nearly 40 years combined between the two of us. And I know you feel the same way too. You start going out there and you're just like, Jesus, look at the size of these dudes. Whoa, look at how quick they're getting in and out of cuts and how fast they're running laterally. I mean, it's amazing the caliber of athlete that is in this league and on this team.
Well, I mean, a couple things. I mean, one, what you're really looking for is just a glimpse, because that's all you're going to get. You're just getting a series of plays. So you're just looking for glimpses, right? A glimpse of somebody's talent, a glimpse of somebody's strength, a glimpse of somebody's speed. You're not really, you don't want to overreact to OTAs, but at the same time, this is your final tune-up for training camp. So I thought there were a few interesting things today. One, or in these OTAs and in the Niner offseason program. One, Brock Purdy is getting to another level, and I don't think people understand that that's kind of the deal here. I mean, if you looked at all the different, discussion points and articles and stories that have been written about the Niners offseason and all the different things people are looking for, nobody's really looking for Brock Purdy to be better, because we just view Brock Purdy as already kind of surprisingly good, right? So it's like he's already pretty good, so we don't really think about him getting better. But here it is.
There's almost nowhere to go but regress from an historic pace to a start of a career. So,
and that's a lot of people's assumption, is that there's nowhere to go but down. But the reality is this is a quarterback who's now had his first full off season after his first full regular season. And there's going to be dramatic improvement, and you're seeing it in this camp. And I think the way he takes control of the huddle, the way he's leading the drills. I mean, this is his team. This is now his football team. There's no ambiguity about any of that. And you can tell he's the leader. So that's the first thing that stood out. The second thing that stood out to me is just how Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall already have a rapport that's that's going to be very, very exciting to see develop. Ricky knows where he's supposed to be, and he's there, and he's developing a trust now with Brock. Brock's developing a trust in him and in Jacob Cowing, and there's couple of those young receivers, but you're really starting to see that Purdy to Pearsall is going to be a thing.
Well, and you can see quickly that Pearsall is getting runs with the number one group. And I'm not saying that he is a fill-in for Aiyuk, who is the only member of the Niners who was not there today. They basically had 100% attendance for this mini camp. Not everyone was wearing a jersey and out there, but Pearsall wasn't a non-contact jersey. Maybe you know more about that. I didn't garner why he was in that non-contact jersey.
He's had an injury and he's just had some soreness. So they put him in the blue jersey so guys don't hit him, because he's dealing with some soreness, probably in the sternum or rib area. And so they just got him out there on the blue jersey as just to alert the other players where he's at so they don't hit him.
Didn't affect his route running, didn't affect his catch radius, didn't affect any. I mean, to me, I couldn't understand why he was in a non-contact jersey, because there's not a lot of contact out there anyway. But you don't want him to be shoved to the ground, I guess, or whatever. He looked awesome.
You're just trying to protect him a little bit. I mean, there's going to be plenty of time for him to take hits and that kind of thing. And George Odom had one play yesterday. It wasn't today. Yesterday, he had a play where Pearsall, it looked like Purdy was throwing like a deep in to Pearsall, and the throw was off target, and George Odom was right there, like hunting the monster hit. And obviously he's not going to hit his teammate, especially wearing the blue jersey. But he kind of suggested to Ricky Pearsall, like, "Hey, buddy, welcome to the NFL. 3 months from now, you're going to be taking this hit,
right? And
there's going to be guys who are going to be delivering this hit." So I thought that was interesting. That was 2 days ago.
I like his cuts, Larry. He's got quick
very
feet.
Precise.
He's got incredible feet and foot. Foot discipline sounds like some bullshit I just made up. But he really, he doesn't tie himself up. He is in and out of his routes quickly. He is shaking dudes who are staying with him, trying to. I mean, he's got
He's
wiggle
refined
on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a refined college receiver, and that's why they like him. That's why they want him, because he is refined. But yeah, Purdy to Pearsall's real. The other thing I thought was kind of a big part of the takeaways is that I think the mindset or emotional well-being of Deebo Samuel is something to take note of, just from the standpoint of he's might be entering his final year with the Niners. It's a very high likelihood. And just like, what's his mental state? Because he is one of those guys that not everybody's mental state matters, but his does, because he's one of the real tone setters in the room, leaders in the room. The Niners vibe is a lot of times predicated off of his individual vibe. And so I just wanted to see kind of like where he was headspace wise, as far as, is he doing and saying the right things? Does he seem bothered? Does he seem agitated? He seemed very comfortable. And he said, hey, look, you know what? Haven't gotten the Lombardi trophy. I want the Lombardi trophy. And I'm just focused on, playing ball this year. I'm not focused on my contract. I'll let my agent take care of that in the future. So, yeah, that was great to hear, because I thought there was a chance he was going to be bothered or insulted or just put out or just in a bad space mentally or emotionally, and that would weigh the whole team down. Understands he's taking this year like a total pro, so I thought that was huge. Obviously the Pearsall and Purdy thing is huge.
Before you move on, let me just say that the only time I saw Deebo today without his helmet on, huge smile on his face. I mean, yucking it up with the guys. I mean, an awful lot of high-fiving with Pearsall, either back in the huddle or running back to the line of scrimmage after the route had been run, after the play had ended. He caught everything that came his way, and he did. He looked carefree. He looked like he was in a great mood. I mean,
yeah,
ear-to-ear smile whenever his helmet was off, and when his helmet was on, he was making plays. So, yeah, it looks like Deebo's really operating from a good headspace. He looks to be in tip-top shape. I think he's very proud of his Deebo Samuel Sr. jersey and his new number 1. Trent Taylor now wearing number 19, by the way. Deebo looked great. I mean, no drama there at all, and he should take this like a pro, because it's a beautiful thing, man. If you have a great season, it's all going to take care of itself.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's the other thing too. Everybody talks about these things like everybody knows definitively how it's all going to go. We don't know who's got, what left in the tank, what kind of years guys are going to have. A football season is like, 1 year of a football career is like 5 years of an NBA career, 5 years of a baseball career. And so anything can happen. I mean, if the guy has an incredibly productive year, there's no law that says they have to move on from him. They can decide to keep him. I mean, that's the kind of the beauty of this whole thing. They don't know what the future of Trent Williams is going to be, or George Kittle, or Nick Bosa, or anybody else for that matter. Everybody's one hit away from the end. Everybody's, you just never know. So, the fact of the matter is, we'll find out how this roster gets evolves at the end of the year, but he doesn't seem like he's bothered by the fact that this could potentially be his last year. The other thing that jumped out offensively was, the tight end spot where they just picked up Logan Thomas, who's a former quarterback at Virginia Tech, former Arizona Cardinal.
I didn't see Logan Thomas out there. I'm guessing he was.
He's there. He was there. Yeah,
didn't see him.
Number 48. He was out there. I didn't see him doing tons, but he was out there. Kittle was talking to him a little bit. But you got Kittle as your tight end 1. And then you've got just, a room full of guys. I mean, you got Logan Thomas, who's experienced. You got Braden Willis in his second year. You got Cam Latu in his second year. Both those guys kind of redshirted last year. There's Eric Saubert, who's a veteran who played with Houston last year. There's Jake Tungs from Cal. There's Mason Pline, who I've been talking up from Furman. So, to me, the one guy this week that really has gotten my attention is Braden Willis. Braden Willis looks kind of like a fullback. He's kind of shaped like a fullback. But you know what? They flexed him out. He's wearing wearing number 8, I believe, 8 or 9. And they flexed him out. They used him, as a receiver, and he made some plays down the field, and he plucked the ball naturally, and he looked kind of explosive, more explosive than I remember Ross Dwelly looking. And Braden Willis, they gave him their gold helmet designation in the draft 2 years ago. That's like something reserved for guys that they love everything about them. They love their personality and temperament and leadership and, effort and talent. And Braden Willis was that player coming out of Oklahoma. Great guy. Talked to him a bunch last year. He's a Texas kid. He went to Oklahoma, and, it's like he took his redshirt year. He clearly improved, and watching him run around out there, it's like he's explosive. He's a big play guy. I think he's going to wind up being tight end 2 behind Kittle.
Well, look, Logan Thomas is a guy who's been a captain in this league. And the way I just see the 49ers approaching this year, and this is where you and I go back to the draft and talking about, how many snaps is Pearsall going to get? How many snaps is Cowing going to actually get this year? Logan Thomas has got about 100 NFL games under his belt. I mean, I think that matters to Shanahan. I think that that's why he's in the room. Because if we're just going on physical specimens, your tight end 2 is Mason Pline. I was joking around with Kawakami. We were both looking at him, and I'm sitting there with Tim, and I'm like, can you imagine being the kid at Furman or playing in whatever league Furman is in, and you're lining up that day against this guy? Like, how did that guy and that body get to Furman? Because Mason Pline is a house. He is a big dude. And if he doesn't make this roster, it won't be because he doesn't have that NFL size. He is gargantuan out there. So I was impressed with him. I didn't see Braden Willis's reps much. I kind of was just looking for Pline. And in the little bit of offensive sets I saw him actually get to run, I don't think he caught a ball. I don't think he was thrown a ball. But he was out there, and he's got an NFL body, that's for sure. We'll see if he has an NFL career.
Pline reminds me a lot of a taller version of Brent Jones. Brent went to Santa Clara. He was really, really smart player. Pline is a really, really smart player. Pline's bigger, but he's a receiver first and a blocker second. And I think Jones was a receiver first and a blocker second. And he's really smart, really competitive, really athletic, kind of a late bloomer, huge step up in level of competition. But yeah, if you said to me, bet on 3 guys, let's just say the Niners are going with 3 tight ends. They may go with 2, they may go with 4, but I mean, if you're going with 3, I would say Kittle's your tight end 1. I'm going to say that Braden Willis is tight end 2, and Pline is tight end 3. Now, I know a lot of people think that Logan Thomas is going to make the team because he is a veteran, but he's had some significant injuries. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how it looks at. When Shanahan was asked about Thomas, he's like, hey, I wanted more depth and more competition at this position. So I don't know if it was a ringing endorsement for Thomas, but he definitely has more experience than these other guys. But man, if I'm expecting Braden Willis and Latu to, really bounce back big after their redshirt years. And one of those 2 guys is probably going to fulfill their potential. And coming out of this camp, I would say it looks like Willis.
Well, they need it because that's the shallowest position group, certainly offensively. So they need that. They absolutely need that. One of those guys to really step up and take the opportunity that the absence of Charlie Warner and who's
Ross
the other?
Dwelly.
Ross Dwelly, exactly. Thank you very much. Those guys opened up spots that need to be filled for sure. Just while we're talking about physical specimen and like your first time seeing the dude, first time seeing Pearsall, pretty impressed. Malik Mustafa, dude. If you told me that guy was your safety, I'd be like, he's too big to be a safety. Like, he looks like a linebacker. He really does. He is top heavy. He is thick. He is barrel chested. I mean, but it doesn't slow him down. That guy, you want to talk about a football body? Malik Mustafa, man. This is the first time I've seen him big, Larry. And what was it? Hufanga came in and talked to the press afterwards. I mean, he didn't play today. He's still rehabbing his injury, but he sounded impressed with Mustafa. And he sounded like the kind of guy who knows, like, I got to come back and I got to earn my reps back, because Jair Brown and this rookie, they got something.
Yeah. In fact, I'll share the screen here on this. This was my question to Hufanga. I just asked him, what did you think of Mustafa?
By the way, Kenny 49er says Mustafa looks like Ricky Williams. He does a little. He's got the same face, kind of that round head kind of.
Here is Talanoa talking about Malik.
Talanoa, what do you see in Mustafa, the rookie?
Beefy, man. That dude is just like
beefy.
Outlift everyone. It's like he's like a mini Dre, that how they just walk around with his presence, but twitchy, athletic, smart, and a guy that's really just about his business and gets things done. So
beefy.
That's he is. He's a beefy dude. He really is.
But quick twitch. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's like the one thing about the Niners, if you look at this draft, you say, well, how have they improved their football team? They really improved by getting two good defensive backs, one in Mustafa and the other in Renardo Green. And both those guys are going to get to play quite a bit. But Mustafa is amazing in that he's kind of built like a linebacker, but he's got the movement ability of a corner. He's really, really physical. And that's going to be, that to me, it's going to be fun to watch him and Renardo Green kind of introduce themselves in the secondary. I mean, Mustafa is a big, hard hitting safety, but he also has the kind of movement ability where he might be able to play coverage. So, I mean, that to me is going to be really interesting to watch is, the Niners secondary and how they play coverage. I
didn't get any look at Renardo Green today. I didn't see the corner from Florida State at all. My eyes didn't find him.
Yeah, he was out there. I did another one that I thought was a interesting question today is I asked Nick Sorensen, who is his best cover safety? And here's what he had to say. This is kind of interesting. Now, this is a guy who didn't say a whole lot last week or a couple weeks ago when we asked him questions, but he was much more talkative today. A little blurry here, but here we go. Nick Sorensen.
Nick, of the safeties you have in this camp, who do you think is your best coverage player at safety?
Honestly, you see a lot of them doing a lot of nice things. It's cool to see. You'd love to see Huff out there, and obviously Gibbs not with us, on our team this year, but it gives those other guys opportunities. And just how Gio, I think, has done a lot of nice things. I think he took a big step last year, and seeing him do it again, like his communication, like it just helps when you're being in the system a few years. He's obviously, you guys know, as a special teams player, he's a heck of a football player, and that just translates to his game. And when you have great skills of how he can run, how he can tackle, I mean, it's football, right? So now it's just translating to that on the defensive side. And I think he's done that really well, starting last year in the offseason, but then even particular this time. Hawk's done a nice job. When Tig was out there, he was doing really well. And even Malik and Jalen Mahoney, those guys are both, those two rookies, they've shown a lot of really all those guys with depth and close to the line of scrimmage have done a lot of nice things, just in coverage, out of the post with their breaks and their finish. It's been a collective good group this year. This also.
It's going to be, that's a major question for me going into training camp is who is the safety that can cover the deep middle? And we know Hufanga and Jair and Mustafa, they can all play strong safety. They can all play in the box.
Right, they can all play.
But how many can they find one guy? And it might be Renardo Green, and it might be somebody we're not thinking of. But who's going to be that safety that covers the field? That I think is still yet to be determined.
Again, just physical first impressions. This guy probably won't even make the team. Austin Bryant had himself an offseason in the weight room. Austin Bryant wearing number 40, and just the way that he had his shorts rolled up to the middle of his thighs, to the sleeves rolled up, and his shoulders are just popping, and those triceps. Dude, Austin Bryant was one of those guys. You're like, who's that guy? Like, that guy was, where did he finish in Defensive Player of the Year voting last year? His body is just finely tuned, and he's probably not even making the team. So,
yeah, no, he's like, I don't want to say, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, but he does look like, he looks like what an NFL edge rusher should look like. He's got really, really long arms. He's really, really athletic, but he's just never really been able to put together that production. He was a highly thought of player in college, and he never quite fulfilled his potential. He's a guy who the Niners had on their practice squad all throughout the second half of last year. He never got active on game days. So it's just he's kind of like emergency depth. If Beal falls in his face, if Drake Jackson falls in his face, they may need to do what they did last summer and start looking around for the Taco Charltons of the world. And in some ways, Austin Bryant fits that description. He's kind of like depth at edge rusher strictly.
If he doesn't contribute or make this team or have a robust NFL career, it won't be because of his physical nature. That guy's a specimen.
Yeah,
and speaking of which, just Nick Bosa in shorts and a t-shirt is the scariest looking thing on a football field. Like, Nick Bosa on a sideline is more intimidating than any dude wearing a helmet. He is just freaking Adonis, man. I mean, he's in
shape at all times. Yeah,
him and Fred Warner are talking to each other, and Fred Warner is a finely tuned world-class athlete. And next to Bosa, he looks like a twig. I mean, Bosa is just his thighs.
Bosa's in great shape. I mean, that's the one thing that's why they never really were concerned about the Bosa holdout last year, because they kind of knew this guy's always going to be in shape. Now, football shape and shape are different things, but that's why they kind of felt better about letting that negotiation go as late as it went, because he is trained so hard that it's like what you got, what you're getting.
It's like the statue of David. I mean, he's carved out of marble, man.
He's ripped. He's ripped. He's it'd be really nice is if he could find his 2 years ago form where he was the defensive player of the year. He was good this last year, but he was great 2 years ago.
Since we're talking about D-line, let me tell you what also stood out to me, because all you're doing is watching D-line individual drills. It's not a day that is built for a defensive line to even look good on a football field. They're playing patty cake when they stand up at the line of scrimmage. They can't get after anyone. They can't hit anyone. They can't bury anyone with a big, it's not football for them yet. Chris Kasurik is over there working these guys as hard through individual drills as any position coach I have ever seen put any group through. Chris Kasurik is a madman, and he's out there barking at bag drills like it's the day before the Super Bowl. It's June 5th, and he is coaching at full shrill, just screaming and swearing and frothing at the mouth and just keeping everybody's energy up. Chris Kasurik is he's got to be the best position coach on this team. He is just so full of energy and execution and encouragement and critiquing. And he is just riding these dudes, just coming into bag drills. Like they're coming out of their 4-point stance, hitting a bag drill. And you would have thought Chris Kasurik was trying to win Olympic gold medals in bag drills today. Like it was.
Well, and it makes the fact that Kevin Givens and Chase Young were jaking it last year in the NFC Championship game. It's the unthinkable.
Yeah.
You got a coach that's literally coaching with his hair on fire every single day, screaming at the top of his lungs. And you got guys, as part of his unit that are just kind of lollygagging and tiptoeing around on the football field in the NFC Championship game. I mean, that's why that was such a crazy departure from what is their normal reality. But I'll tell you the two guys that kind of caught my eye today on the defensive line for the Niners, Shaquille Brown, who wears number 60, and then Evan Anderson, who wears number 66. Anderson's the rookie from Florida Atlantic who played at like 360 in college, but is down to 315. And he, they gave him $280,000 guaranteed to sign as an undrafted free agent to keep him away from other teams. And then Shaquille Brown was a guy that the Niners wanted last year as an undrafted free agent, and they lost out to Tennessee. And then he went and sprained his ankle. He played almost all year on the Tennessee practice squad. But just watching Brown and Anderson, these guys are big time athletes. I mean, Brown is really, really explosive at 295, and Evan Anderson is just strong as a house. I mean, he is really, really strong. He can split the double team. Both those guys, I mean, you look at the Niners, their number one starting defensive tackles are going to be Javon Hargrave and probably Malik Collins. They also have Givens and they have Jordan Elliott. But that third group is Kalia Davis and T.Y. McGill, and the fours are Shaquille Brown and Evan Anderson. And I'll tell you, that's going to be a battle. McGill's a veteran who's been through the NFL wars. Kalia Davis is a young player who's got some speed and some athleticism for sure. But Shaquille Brown and Evan Anderson may be able to unseat those guys, and I think that could be a real fun. Those four guys, they're let's say the first four guys are all set. Collins, Hargrave, Elliott, and Givens. Well, you're probably going to go with 10 D linemen, 5 tackles, 5 ends. So there's one job available. And between Kalia Davis, T.Y. McGill, Evan Anderson, and Shaquille Brown, one of those guys is going to grab it. And to me, the Anderson and Brown duo looked great today.
During the Mike Nolan era, if you got cut from the 49ers, you weren't on anyone else's NFL team. Like you were just, you weren't good enough to be in this league. The guys that the Niners cut this year, they're going to have other teams waiting, with running Uber drivers to pick these guys up. There's an awful lot of talent. I know that Nick Sorensen said in there, it was like his sort of like his Trent Baalke line, like a lot of football guys. He said today, we got a lot of Niners out there. And I mean, that's obvious and literal. Everyone is playing for the 49ers. They're all Niners at this point. But I know what he meant, and I think we all were picking up what he's putting down. They got the right group of guys who are wired this year to go do big things this year. And there will be no lollygagging. There will be no drag ass, and there will be nobody who is pulling on the rope in the wrong direction. And it feels like they got a really good group. Again, it's June 5th. Why would anybody be particularly tight today? But they all looked like they were in good spirits, Larry. I mean, they really did. I like the vibe. What do you go down to see at minicamp? What can you really discern from any completed pass? Blah, blah, blah. It all gets thrown out with the bathwater before the year starts. But the early vibe around the team is spot on, man. Feels right. Feels good. Doesn't feel like there's any sort of Super Bowl hangover or anything that.
It's a good roster. I mean, it's a good roster. It's pretty clear from, listening to Fred Warner today that, that Nick Sorensen was the handpicked, defensive coordinator of many of the guys on the defense, including many of the linebackers. They wanted him. They were big advocates for him. And we'll see how it works out. So, but yeah, I mean, there's the Niners are very much a loaded football team. And on all three phases of the game, they got a lot of talent. You're right. There's going to be guys who are not going to make this team that are going to wind up in other teams' camps. They're really deep on all these different spots. One of the things that was interesting, I asked Fred Warner, I said, of the young linebackers, who's the most impressive to you? And he didn't hesitate. I thought he would kind of beg off and, they all look good. But he said D. Winters. He said D. Winters, he thinks, is having the best
off season on the team. I saw your
off
video.
Season of anybody on the entire team. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Jalen Graham's really special. Bethune is a player that a lot of people like. So, they're deep at linebacker. They got a bunch of corners. Another guy that is impressive out on the practice field is the veteran corner they just signed from the Saints, Isaac Yiadom. Yiadom is big and fast and athletic, and he's just they got great depth on the corner. So, yeah, I mean it's a good roster, and they probably have a couple of thin spots, but man, they've got great depth at running back, wide receiver, offensive line, linebacker, corner. I mean, they got a lot of bodies, and you're right. There's going to be pro personnel directors who are going to look at their roster and look at the Niners roster and say, well, let's check out who they cut and let's sign that guy.
I was watching the rookie running backs, Schrader and Garendo. Looked like Garendo got a lot more run with the offense than Schrader did. I saw Schrader on special teams, and we'll get to that in just a second. But man, Garendo, he's got these. He's got these feet, Larry. He's not a quick strider. He's got the shaggy feet. They just. I mean, he's quick. He's a really quick guy.
I thought Schrader though had the run of the day down the sideline where he just got loose. He got to the bounce to the outside and was gone. And Schrader shows a gear that his 4.6 140 says he doesn't have. You know what I mean? But yet he shows a gear that's really special. And then Garendo had a couple plays where he lost his footing. I think that's going to be a problem for him. He definitely is explosive. He looks like a guy who might be ideally suited for the new kickoff rule. But Cody Schrader, to me today, the one run he had down the left sideline, I thought was one of the best highlights anybody had on offense or defense in the entire minicamp thus far. He's got shiftiness, balance, explosiveness. He's a good running back. That's a good running back right there.
Looked like Jordan Mason got the majority of the first team touches when Brock was in there. McCaffrey has signed. He was there, but he wasn't in a jersey out on the field. If he didn't take part in any of the voluntary OTAs, chances are you were held out by the team today from any on-field activities. But Kittle didn't see him, but he was there. Trent Williams was there. Bosa, Warner weren't dressed, but they were there. Same thing with really everybody on the team but Brandon Aiyuk. So I think that, if you took the temperature of everyone down in Santa Clara today, was it a good day for the Niners? It was a good day for the Niners. I thought that everyone just looked Johnny on the spot. They really did. And there's something to be said about how the way Shanahan has structured his practices to where they really are. They run with military precision. They really do.
Well, they plan these things out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the one thing with the OTAs. You only have so much time on the practice field, and you have to maximize that. So there's no wasted reps. There's no wasted anything. They're working on these scripts for weeks and weeks and weeks. Nothing that you see out there on the field in any way is accidental. It's all been planned and choreographed.
Well, and especially, going into year 8, it was planned and choreographed in year 1. Now it's just a well-oiled machine. It really, really is. Like and subscribe. A little Wake Up After Dark. Larry and I were unable to do a show for you on Monday or today, so we wanted to give you a make good right here and now. We'll be back at it at 8:45 a.m. on Friday morning, West Coast time. So we hope to see you there.
What? I will not be. I unfortunately am sitting in again on 95.7 for Guru on Friday, so I will not be. I will not be there on Friday. I didn't realize that was the setup. But yeah, it's Monday, Friday this week sitting in.
I mean, if you need the $75 that bad, Larry, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, look, I love Guru, so have a good time with him. Tell him I said hello.
Guru's a good guy.
So look, I want to talk special teams.
Yeah.
That's what I walked away from thinking about today. Larry, this is the single biggest wrinkle the NFL's incorporated in 5 decades. This is the biggest game day change and difference probably in our football lifetimes, if we're being really honest about how different of a rule this is. And I was talking to one of the zebras there today. These are not NFL officials, but these are college guys. And I went up to him to get some clarification on what I was watching because I had a question. And he's like, I don't even really know. He's like, I can't give you that definitive answer right now. I can't tell you exactly what's going on. I'm just out here to make sure nobody's offsides on the kick. I'm like, okay. But
good honesty.
Yeah, I appreciated the honesty. I really did. So you had Ronnie Bell, Trent Taylor, Elijah Mitchell, Corey Schrader, and Terrell Owens' kid, all back there receiving kicks. It looked like those were the guys taking the reps as the receiver. They were funneling guys in and out of kick protection and kickoff team. The kick itself is going to be where an awful lot of the game planning of what is about to happen is going to actually, the genesis point of the whole thing. The hang time of a high kickoff is now totally irrelevant because you're not allowed to leave to chase down the ball carrier until they receive the ball. And this is what I'm trying to figure out. I don't even know if I've got this right. I asked the judge there, the official, if this is right. And he's like, I don't know. Once the ball, I believe he told me, lands in the 20-yard box. So you got to be in between the hashes, not in between the hashes, but in between the 20-yard markers. So you don't get extended all the way to the sidelines, but you're in between the 20-yard markers from the 20-yard line. Once the ball hits there, the team can leave and try to make a play.
Okay,
and
so here's how it's written out. Okay, the NFL owners agreed to dramatic changes to the kickoff format this offseason. The modification calls for all players on the kicking team, okay, this is the kicking team, to line up at the receiving team's 40-yard line, while the receiving team lines 9 players up on their own 35. 2 men will line up downfield as kick returners. The kicker will still kick off from his own 35-yard line. The kickoff team defenders will not be permitted to move until the ball hits the ground in the landing zone, which is inside the receiving team's 20-yard line.
Okay, that's
if the ball hits short of the landing zone, it would be moved to the receiving team's 40-yard line, just as if the kickoff sailed out of bounds in the past.
Right.
Touchbacks would call for the ball to be moved to the receiving team's 30. So you can kick it through the back of the end zone and it comes out to the 30. You can kick it short and it comes out to the 40. And if you kick it in the landing zone, when the ball lands, that's when the defenders on the coverage unit team can leave
off.
So it looks really different because like normally we're used to, here comes the kickoff and everybody, the kickoff goes and everybody runs at the same time. This is going to be the kicker is going to kick it off and the ball's going to be in the air and he's going to be moving, but the guys are all going to stay at the line of scrimmage until the ball lands. As soon as it lands, either in somebody's hands or in the inside the window, everybody's going to go, try to tackle the return guy. What's interesting about it is that when you look at it carried out in practice, because the guys don't run until the ball hits, the receiver, the kickoff returner has a good head start, right? Because nobody's running at all. They're all standing flat-footed until he catches the ball. So now he catches the ball.
Right, and he's not catching the ball flat-footed. He's at least coming forward or towards the ball a little bit.
He's just like a regular return guy, but there's nobody there to starch him and hit him hard as he catches it. There's nobody going to be there really except for 10 yards later when he's running it. And a lot of the people that I've seen who've watched the play seem to think that it could benefit guys like Isaac Guerrero, guys that have good foot speed and size, because they're going to get 3 or 4 or 5 steps, and then they're going to be cooking at 220 pounds with 5 or 6 steps of momentum. And then it's going to be a very difficult, in theory, that's a very difficult player to tackle. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Do teams go with dynamic speed like a Tyreek Hill and just be like, let's see if you can catch the fastest guy on the field when he's got, a full throttle, stride going. The angles are different. Everything about it's a little different. The timing and the angles are all different. But it's going to be really interesting to see.
Well, and Larry, too,
what kinds of body shapes are the most effective as the returners under these new rules.
And if you're kicking off, you now want to, you're not like, just teeing off with driver or 3-wood anymore. You want to have a little bit of a pitching wedge and let that ball not come down in the receiver's hands, but at the 18-yard line within the landing area. So now that ball is on the ground and footballs are built to bounce in funny directions. And that's the advantage that the kickoff team is going to try to find to create a turnover in that situation. There are 32 NFL teams who this is all brand new to. Some will be out in front. Some will be innovators. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle erred on the side of conservative because it's just sort of his nature. But there's going to be other teams that are going to be decidedly bad at this. There are going to be teams that quickly figure out a way to run trick plays off of this, and the element of deception is going to come into play beyond the element of this is like a long stretch running outside zone running play here where you're just looking for a lane. You got a lot of chaos on the field, but really this is a situation where you're just looking for 2 or 3 blocks to be set up. You get past them, your hip distance past everybody, and you're gone. Like, this is going to be a big scoring opportunity, and I think it's going to be a big turnover opportunity as well for teams that are kicking off. I don't know what it's going to be until I actually see it.
Well, and also there's potential for this to be big hitting. Because you're talking about returners who are going to be running 10 yards with the ball and guys who are, going to be charged with hitting those guys. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be, the return guy is going to have great speed at his advantage. The coverage unit guys are going to have not a great distance to go, but they're not going to have great speed. It's going to be a lot about angles and taking the right angles. It's going to be really riveting to see how this how this works out. And, to me, it's like, I think a guy like DK Metcalf could wind up being a real force. Anybody who's big and has straight line speed and who could take the kickoff and get, 10, 12 steps going upfield. Oh my goodness, that could be a nightmarish guy to have to tackle.
The learning curve is going to really help some teams. It's going to bury teams. This will be a play that will decide games. I really believe that. I think this thing has a potential to be a huge disruptor to scoring, to field position, to normal flow of where drives start. I mean, I can't wait to see it actually play out. Like, I'm excited to see what this is and what a difference it is. And hey, maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe it's not that dramatic of a big change, but it feels like it's being set up to be. And it certainly feels like each and every NFL team is very protective of how they're going about preparing for this, because that was the most amount of make sure the phones are down, put the phones away, don't let us catch you filming anything. But of all the things that we ask you to not film, it's the special team session more than anything else. And you've never heard that at training camp before.
Yeah, they don't want, they're trying to protect this thing. Also, I think it's going to be interesting when the Niners practice in Irvine against the Saints. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of, hey, let's use this opportunity to really get a bunch of reps on this thing, because or maybe not. Maybe everybody will try to play their cards close to the vest and be secretive. But I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation in the joint practices on this play.
Well, and how creative do you want to get with this play? I mean, again, some teams are just going to err on the side of caution. And I would imagine the 49ers are, pretty much wired.
They signed because they like the certainty of a guy who's going to catch the ball. And I brought this up to the special teams coordinator, I said to him, I said, you got to basically every single kind of return guy that there is. You've got, the conservative receiver, Trent Taylor, he doesn't make a lot of big plays, but he's going to catch every ball. You've got veterans like Juice and Deebo and Aiyuk. You've got rookies and speedsters like Danny Gray and Garendo. You got guys that are built like running backs and fullbacks like Garendo.
Larry, just the different body types that are out here today. You've got 5 totally different body types in Bell, Taylor, Elijah Mitchell, Corey Schneider, and Owens' son. Yeah. Those are you put all of them in a line. They're all different heights, different body types, different. They're just different.
They're going to figure out which one works. You know what I mean? I don't think they really know at this point which one's going to work.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Nobody in the NFL knows anything about this yet. So it's like it's a new Wild West. It really is. Who will be the first to strike gold with the right strategy about how to execute this kickoff? Who will be the teams coming up at the rear, not figuring it out? Watch an awful lot of early season games get tilted by these plays. By about week 10, everyone will know sort of what's going on. The NFL plays catch up real quickly.
This is going to be a huge thing in the early part of the season. Larry,
the first 4 weeks this is going to be like nuts, I think.
Somebody's going to figure out some way to exploit the rules, and then everybody's going to copy that. So it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Have we have we got no calls? We got anybody waiting?
No calls tonight, but we do have a couple supers we can hit here. We've got this one from Blood Moon. He says, Damon, Larry, 2X pitchers you would want as coaches for the 40 or ex players you would want as coaches for the 49ers. I would want Joe Staley as an assistant O-line coach and Anquan Bolden as a wide receiver coach. I'd go with Alex Smith as a quarterback coach. I think Alex Smith might be a great quarterback coach. And I would say Charles Haley would be a great defensive end coach. I mean, I've seen Charles put on clinics before where he talks about, setting up offensive tackles with your bull rush, and then everything's predicated off the bull rush. And then you got the counters and all the different, techniques that you can utilize to get to the quarterback. And I just think that he is such a absolute technician. So much of that defensive end position is about technique, and that's why those guys play a long time. I would take Charles Haley as my defensive end coach and Alex Smith as my quarterback coach. I think Alex, because he struggled and then figured it out, is just in many ways.
He's been through it all.
Yeah, he's been through it all, and he's probably made too much money to be a quarterback coach, to be honest. But I think he'd be a great one.
I got a name for you because I'm looking for guy who was good at it, guy who is smart, guy who is really a good communicator, right? Like Frank Gore was out there today. Frank Gore was talking to John Lynch. Yeah. Frank Gore, certainly a bona fide total football stud. He's a smart guy, but I don't know how great of a communicator he is. Vernon Davis, I think, would be a good tight ends coach.
Yeah.
Vernon Davis is a smart cat. He's a really, really sharp guy. And he was really, really good at the position. I think he would fit the bill very well. Defensively, I'm trying to
Eric Wright and Darryl Pollard, 2X Niners, are great.
Right. I mean, of course, a guy like Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, you would love to have guys like that in the room.
I mean, Jeff Ulbrich is the former Niner linebacker, is a really good defensive coordinator right now. He'd be a good one. Mongreen Eggcorn says, how many ACLs, lemon pepper wings, and Miatas is it going to take to lessen the $30 million Aiyuk contract and make him a football guy?
I mean,
I talk a lot about torn ACLs. Ralph talks a lot about those lemon pepper wings from Amici's. You put us together in a Miata, and we're talking ACLs, and we're talking lemon pepper wings.
I'll put the lemon pepper wings in front of him, and if he doesn't want it, my counter offer is going to be the minestrone. It's really good. It's nice. It's vegetarian, and I like that because Tate and I were now vegetarians, so we're trying to keep the minestrone is a really nice option for us. So, whatever it takes to get the deal done. And look, in all seriousness, Brandon Aiyuk should be there today.
Well,
Brandon
here's the
Ayuk,
question. Here's the question. The Niners waived all the fines. Shanahan was asked about Aiyuk, and he's like, well, some guys show up because they want to avoid the fines. Other guys don't care, and they want. Well, but what about last year when Nick Bosa didn't show up and you waived the fines? Are the Niners going to waive the fines for Aiyuk the way they waived the fines for Bosa? Nobody ever asked that question, but that definitely is something that probably should be asked.
I mean, the amount of money that Brandon Ayuk's going to want here means he can pick up the fines, not worrying about it. But yeah, it would be the right thing to do. The Niners have painted themselves into a bad corner here with Brandon Aiyuk. They really have. I mean, the conversation, whether they want to admit it or not, they got to guarantee him $90 million, Larry.
I know.
They got to guarantee. I mean, I don't know
what let me grab one thing. Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Right back.
I mean, I don't know what the actual Brandon Aiyuk final number is going to be. And if I were Team Aiyuk, I really wouldn't care. The whole annual average value thing is just how agents get to pat each other on the back and say, oh, you did that. Your client gets to wear the highest paid non-quarterback crown for a handful of months, usually at best. That's what all the incentives and the contract could be worth, as much as phrasing goes to guaranteed dollars. If I'm Brandon Aiyuk, the only thing I would be caring about is guaranteed dollars. And we saw the guaranteed dollars of Justin Jefferson probably become a bridge too far. But beyond that, I mean, I think you bring Aiyuk in for that $80 million guaranteed type of dollars, and how you spread it out the years after that is where the contract, and the agent comes in to figure it all out. But the Niners screwed this up just in terms of the timing. They knew that the price of business was only going to go north, never south. They knew that this is a player that they very much want in this year. They very much want to go win a Super Bowl, and Brandon Aiyuk is supposed to help them do that. And if you were now to trade Brandon Aiyuk for future assets, what good does that do you in 2024? It doesn't help you at all in 2024 to have a mid-second round 2025 pick that you got for Brandon Aiyuk, if you can even get that. So for a team that's got an awful lot right and an awful lot going for it, and for a team that the both of us readily admit are good at what they do, re-sign the players that they want, have a smart capologist, have a smart GM head coach, it's a well-oiled machine. It really is. I feel like this is one that they've kind of screwed up, and they're going to have to correct this mistake with a dollar amount that, Larry, I don't think they wanted to go to, but now they don't have any choice.
We're talking about Aiyuk and how much money he's going to get.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's got to be a guaranteed 85, 90 million to make him happy.
He's probably going to make $30 million a year. So that's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Should we take a call here? Should we go to Niner Gang?
Let's do it.
Niner Gang. What's up, brother? How are you, man?
Good, fellas. How we doing today?
How are you?
Doing fantastic. You're scaring me walking around with the goat and the camera at that angle. Looks like you're about to hack somebody into a million pieces.
No, I'm just out here trying to beat the heat. It's freaking hot in Fresno, man.
And I can only imagine, dude. It's probably 85 degrees in the creek right now.
It's, oh my God, it's rough, dude. My PG&E bill is about $800 a month right now. It's rough.
Your audio is not great today because you're walking outside.
Yeah, go back in the house. Get to that Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I know it's hot in there, but we want to be able to hear you.
Niner Gang, do you know Damon? Niner Gang?
I don't know if he can hear us, Larry.
Can you hear us, Niner Gang? Can you hear us, bud?
Call back.
Call back. We'll put you up.
94 degrees in Fresno. Oh, 94 degrees at 9:30 p.m. in Fresno.
Let's hit some supers here. Let's see. We got that one. We just did that one. Blood Moon. Here we go. Blood Moon says if CD gets his contract before Brandon Aiyuk, it's over. Well, that's just it'd be the third time, Blood Moon, that the wide receiver market would be reset this offseason alone. Iceman says, good to see Damon at practice. Any awkward encounters? You know who? LOL. Hey, Larry, you related to Freddy Krueger? No, I'm not related to Freddy Krueger. And I've heard that one before.
No awkward encounter. There's nothing but fake toughness in the world. And when I'm in the room, no one's got a thing to say.
No awkward encounters for Damon.
No awkward encounters.
Everybody's been getting along pretty good down in Ninerland, for the most part. Nobody, there's a lot of people that are walking around saying their channel's the best channel, but nobody, everybody's getting along pretty good for the most part.
Who's saying that?
Lombardi has gone on a rampage the last 10 days, just telling everybody that his channel is the best channel and blah, 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 blah.
I saw Dave today.
Yeah.
David,
so I don't know why, to me, that makes him look really bad, but whatever, he can do whatever he wants. He's a big boy. And maybe he feels that way. Maybe he feels like his channel is the best channel and good for him.
Hey, I think his channel is one of the best channels.
Look at you. Dropped a little one of in there.
It is one
but
of.
He's saying it's the best channel and that there's no other channel like his channel. Whatever. I don't care. At the end of the day,
channel, channel I know.
Yeah. If you should think your channel is the best channel. Otherwise, if you don't think your channel is the best channel, then why aren't you putting out content that you should be putting out instead of content that you are putting out? You know what I mean? It's like we all choose the content we put out. Nobody wants to put out marginal content I'm going to put out subpar content that nobody's going to find interesting or worthwhile. We're all trying to put out content that we think is good. So it's fine to think your content's the best. It's just when you say it over and over and over again, it kind of is, it's bizarre. But he's got a little rivalry going with Grant and this and that and whatever.
All I know is that this show right here, Larry, Wake Up, that's hot. When it doesn't happen, people ask me about it. Like I had 3 people since we missed Monday and Wednesday, and now you freaking radio heretic. We're going to miss Friday as well. Shame on you. But when we don't do this, people are saying, where is it? I want that back. I really enjoy that show. So, look, when it comes to covering the 49ers, we've been doing it for a really long time. I think that's what makes you and I stand out. We've both been covering this team longer than Dave Lombardi has. He's guilty of being younger than us. So
Moon says, Larry, what happened this morning? Okay, so normally Wednesday morning is Damon and I at 8:45, and then that's what I do, and then I usually do something else later in the day. But what happened was practice was at 10:40, so Damon and I decided we weren't going to do anything. Then I ran into Guy Haberman at camp on yesterday. And I was like, hey, man, we should stream again. And I said, what does your rest of your week look like? And he's like, well, I'm busy tomorrow in the afternoon, but I could do the morning. And I'm like, we got practice in the morning. And he's like, well, why don't we do early in the morning? And I'm like, okay, well, how early in the morning are you talking about? It would have to be really early because I got to get out of here by 9 o'clock. And he goes, how about we do 8 to 9? And I go, well, I already told Damon I'm not going to do 8:45. But I go, yeah, why don't we try 8 to 9? And then sure enough, we had this ridiculous heat wave last night, and I had my phone, which I normally have plugged in, I had off to the side because I had the fan using the plug. And so I woke up, even though I went to bed with the phone with lots of juice, and I woke up and the phone was out of juice, and I was, it was already 8:30. So I didn't get to stream with Guy or Damon this morning. Then I just had to get up, take a quick shower, run down to Santa Clara, do all the Niner stuff. And then Damon and I decided we would do the stream tonight. So,
well, and Larry, that's why my channel is the best channel.
About it. He gave me shit about it today, but I apologize to all of you guys, and I apologize to Guy, and
better apologize to me.
Well, because you and I had talked about, the fact that we were going to switch.
I don't care.
It's this guy, Dusty Gold, says, Larry, I waited over 20 minutes this morning. Oh man.
Well,
apologize.
Dusty, let me
Dusty,
tell
I
you,
apologize, man. I apologize.
Larry
I
owes
fucked
you
it
one.
up. I owe
Larry
you
owes
one.
one. Larry owes you one. No, look, man, I know for a fact that when the two of us get to combine forces, there's not a lot of people who could step into the room and add a lot more to it, right? Like we know what we're doing. And that's why I like working with you. I mean, look, you and I used to actually host the pre and post game show for the 49ers, so we've been around it a while, and hopefully that's what separates us from, the new guys. Even though I'm a new guy on YouTube, I'm certainly not a new guy at covering this team in this league. So
all I would say to anybody is, there's a lot of people producing a lot of content. God bless them. God bless them, and good luck to them. Hey, one other thing that came up today that we have to hit, that we're kind of burying one of the major leads. Did you see the Schefter report that the Niners reached out to the Vikings about a trade for Justin Jefferson before the draft? What'd you think of that?
First of all, I didn't even see that.
You didn't see that? Oh, it's on. That was one of the stories this morning, is that Schefter says the Niners, I think the Colts, and there was like a third team that all reached out to the Vikings about trading for, I guess it was the Jets, the Colts, and the Niners.
Well, look,
all reached out about a Justin Jefferson trade, and were rebuffed.
The owner of the Vikings had to make the call on that. I mean, that's the kind of money where your general manager is not even involved really in that discussion anymore. Your owner is approving that, and that could be a dollar amount that some teams want to walk away from. So smart teams investigate, points of what seem like could be hesitation for another team. So it is smart to make that call.
Red Eye says that's old news. Old news, Krug. We knew that 2 months ago when it happened. Oh, look at you, Red Eye.
There you go. Well, Red Eye's got the best channel, Larry. He knows what's
Red Eye. What the heck? We also have this one from Iceman. He says, love to see a stream with Larry, Damon, and Vish.
Well, I know Vish through just watching the stuff that you do with him, and he is good. I like Vish an awful lot.
Oh, yeah, Vish is awesome. Vish has been just concentrating on doing his job. Vish went to college, and he's just out of college. He's just doing his first job out of college. He's trying to get himself established.
What's he do?
He hasn't been streaming at all in the last 4 or 5 months.
What's Vish do?
I'm not sure. Maybe data analyst work. But he's works out of Chicago. Okay. He lives in a suburb in the west side of Chicago. So he's out there, and Vish told me a few weeks ago, maybe about 10 days ago, that he's just got to get his work life in order, and when he does, he'll start streaming again, and we'll start doing a regular stream. So absolutely. Clarsard says, Dusty, Larry owes you free pig and a pickle for life for missing the show today. We get this one from Gino, or is it Gina? Gina says, hey, all good evening. Larry needs a new phone. New phones don't go dead without a charge all night.
Got to charge up.
I know. What was happening, though, is I was watching, because, we're in this time of the year where I was kind of looking at the mock NBA draft, and I was starting to look at videos. Dude, there's like about 10 guys in the entire draft that I even recognize. This is the most no-name NBA draft in the history of the NBA.
I would agree with you.
It's amazing. I watch college basketball. I don't know any of these guys.
Yeah, no, and it's
the Indiana. There's an Indiana center. Who's the big man from Indiana?
Where?
Yeah. Is he good?
Oh, yes. He was a transfer from Oregon. He plays 1 year for Mike Woodson. And I mean, Indiana had a miserable basketball season. He was the best player by far the entire year. He should be a top 15 pick. He really should be. But yeah, there's a European invasion that isn't slowing down. And there's also just, let me tell you, what the WNBA's got going for it is one of the things that the NBA is absolutely missing. And that's rookies coming in with reputations and fame and some static and some rivalries that have played out. And now that name, image, and likeness gets to keep a kid on the collegiate level while still making some cash. What the NBA really needs to do now, Larry, is bump up its age requirement and not let 18-year-old kids. You got to be 21 to be drafted into the NBA. The NBA owes that to itself, and what they might be giving up in tapping into early potential, they'll be more than making up for in delivered product that's recognizable as they get into the league.
Let's not pretend the WNBA is. They had Caitlin Clark.
Well, but that's it. Caitlin Clark is literally a bigger entity.
Not the WNBA.
No, but look, Larry, Caitlin Clark.
But I'm just saying, let's not pretend it's the WNBA. It's she is the growth of the WNBA.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
But her little back and forth with Angel Reese.
No, I know. But I'm just saying it's like
it's good.
Nobody's watching in WNBA. I mean, WNBA, if WNBA existed based on its own revenue, they would have been out of business years ago.
I get it. And I'm no fan. I don't give a shit. I'm not really watching either. A little curiosity, but that's it. That's how it starts. I used to be totally uncurious. Now this one woman does have me just a little curious about it. And so I'll lean into a highlight, or I'll watch whatever, outrage du jour she's generating. Caitlin Clark is more famous coming out of college than the combined fame of the last 5 NBA draft classes in terms of, prospects.
Yeah. But she's just a once in a lifetime kind of a thing.
Right. Well, that's the thing. There are more than once in a lifetime talents happening in college, but you don't get to know them, and you don't get to really attach yourself to them in any emotional way. Everyone feels like a hired gun, and if they're really good, they'll be gone in 2 years at the most. And you don't develop these relationships collegiately, which used to be baked into each and every rookie class. And I think that's one element that the NBA is missing out of, and they could absolutely solve it by allowing the rivalries to incubate and the brands of these players to incubate in college before they just, boom, I'm in the NBA. So
branding is always better. Branding is better than no branding. By the way, one super here from Alan from Kohl's. He says, is it too late to join the show? No, Alan, dial in. Alan works at Kohl's. He works at Kohl's in Indianapolis.
Oh, so dude, we might know each other.
Okay, so Alan's a great guy. He's a big fan of the show. No, absolutely, Alan, call in. We'd love to see you. We're just going to be doing this for a few more minutes. We got this one from 49er underscore.
We can talk
throwback.
We can talk Coach Signetti waking up the enthusiasm around Bloomington. Look out, Larry.
He says, how's Cody Schrader? Braden Willis will be tight end too. Cody Schrader looks great. He absolutely looks great. Cody Schrader is a really good running back. And
guy.
You're going to really like Cody Schrader. I think Cody Schrader looks better than Garendo right now, to be completely honest.
Oh, yeah. I do too.
Words of wisdom. Kohl's is the new Mervyn's.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Do you remember Mervyn's?
Oh, sure. Now,
there was Macy's, then there was Mervyn's.
Did they happen on the West Coast?
Macy's had the alligator and the polo. Mervyn's had the La Tigre.
Did you have a Caldors on the West Coast?
No.
Caldors was your East Coast Mervyn's or Ross when I was growing up. Like,
I'll tell you, I kind of like a TJ Maxx. I'm not anti TJ Maxx. I'm not anti Ross.
Hey, socks and underwear, all of it come from Ross in my house.
Dude, I bought a $250 killer jacket. I got at TJ Maxx for like $49.
Hey, if you can find it on that discount rack, go get it, baby. If it looks good on you, it looks good.
Well, here's the thing about TJ Maxx. You're not going to find you're only going to find one of them, and it may not be your size, and it may not be your color. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to get a bunch of choices. There's not a lot to choose from.
Yeah, you got to strike gold or totally crap out.
Right. It's someone says Emporium. I would say Mervyn's. Mervyn's is probably better than the Emporium. Someone said Nordstrom Rack. Gina says, I miss TJ Maxx. There you go. Well, come to California.
Did you have an
They're
odd
alive
lot?
and well.
Did you have an odd lots out here? That was another one of those like go bargain bin
No.
odd, like all of the the irregulars. It's like when you go to
Like Rochester Big and Tall?
those outlets. Yeah. Oh, there was a Rochester Big and Tall in Indiana. Absolutely, there was. You had to have a Rochester Big and Tall. There used to be a Rochester Big and Tall right on the corner that KNBR was on when we both worked there.
It was
that?
Mission. It was right by the Moscone Center.
Yeah. You started sweating here, Larry.
Oh, I'm sweating.
You're
It's hot.
sweating.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? It's hot as hell here. It's probably, I mean, I got the fan rolling, but I would say it's gotta be, let's see. Let's check the weather in Walnut Creek right now. What do you think it is? If you had to guess.
In the creek, what are you? I'm gonna say you're 88 degrees.
Oh no, it's not that hot. It's 74.
Oh, dude, and you're sweating bullets over there.
Yeah, but I'm in the garage.
Okay.
I could open the door and that would give me a little bit of air.
I mean, I can't believe that I'm not sunburned today. I did spray myself before I went down there. I forgot a hat like a fucking rookie.
Someone said, Larry, did you pick up that Warriors jersey at Mervin's? That super tight jersey that I wore at KMBR? No,
Yeah.
they sent us that. They sent us that.
So I gave mine to Jillian. Yeah, because it says Bruce on the back. I was like, the woman who marries me will maybe be able to fit in this. I hope we'll be able to fit in this.
I gave it to my daughter as well, and it fit her perfectly. It just didn't fit me at all.
That's the only bit of swag I ever got from the Warriors, ever. They never sent me anything. Like,
really,
Nation would get gifts. I got a jersey once.
We've got Anthony Charles Jr. Larry, you should get Matt Mayoko on your show. I've had Mayoko on.
Cobra. It was great seeing him
before.
today. It was nice catching up with Cobra. I haven't seen Matty Barrows in a real long time, so it was good to see him.
All good guys. All good
Cam
guys.
Inman is my guy. Great to see Cam.
The great Cam Inman.
Marcus Thompson was there. Knuckled up Marcus for a minute just to say hello. It was good. It was good seeing everybody. Kawakami and I hung out for a little while.
Look at you.
It's amazing how media's changed. You guys saw Dieter Kurtenball was there.
Dieter comes on the show.
Barty.
SF Indigo says, I'm cooking burgers and drinking seltzer. I'm with you with the burgers. You can screw the seltzer. I don't want any seltzer.
Remember when the New York seltzer thing was a big deal? It was a big deal.
I'm not a seltzer guy.
I like it. It's all right.
Okay, so if your first choice of a drink, what do you
just cold water. It always
cold water,
I'm a
ice
cold
water
guy.
Okay. Second choice.
Coffee.
Coffee. Wow.
I'm a cold water and coffee. I don't drink a lot of milk. Don't drink much soda at all. It's been a long time since I've done seltzer. Not a lot of fruit juice. I like orange juice, apple juice, but not much of it. My kids are pounding it left and right.
Sometimes I'll go fruit smoothie. I'll go, a little lemonade, a little yogurt, some crushed berries, some pineapple, strawberries, mixed berries, a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of lemonade.
Can I give you a smoothie tip? Tip from me to you.
None of it's going to include kale.
Go to Costco.
I don't want to go kale.
I would never kill you up, Kruger.
I can't go
to
kale.
Costco and get a big frozen bag of mixed fruits, because the last thing you want to do is be taking the fresh produce that you buy and turn that into smoothies. Just take the frozen crap and turn that into the
that's what we do.
Okay, yeah, good.
That's what we do. We go frozen berries, but
frozen berries.
And then I like to throw some ice cubes in there as well to kind of give it kind of a slush.
But yeah,
kind of a slushy kind of a deal.
Make it viscous.
Yeah, a little 4 or 5 ice cubes, some frozen strawberries, some frozen raspberries, some frozen blackberries, some blueberries.
Iceman wants to know, was Ratto there? No, Ray was. I don't think Ray is ever going to step into a press box again in his life. He is done.
It was Ratto at the Niners?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Ratto hasn't been around the 49ers since. There's no way he went to a Chip Kelly
Montana,
game, right?
The Montana era.
No, I saw Ratto in
Young?
the press box, in the Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary era. For sure I did. For sure. So
Dusty Gold just said Larry's a cognac guy. Oh, look at that. I can go with a little sifter of cognac.
Well, first of all, it's called snifter there.
Sifter, snifter, whatever.
A
Snifter.
sifter is how you separate your flour and your sugar. That's a sifter.
Oh, I'm thinking of my powdered sugar sifter.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I can go cognac. I can go cognac. Me and Herson used to drink cognac, play cards, and drink cognac.
I won't tell any of Todd Herson what used to go on.
Wait a second. We got this one.
Todd Herson.
Words of wisdom. Guys, can I get a happy 8th birthday to my son Luke?
I'll take it a step further, Larry. I'm ready to celebrate this birthday right now.
Luke, happy birthday. Luke. Happy 8th birthday, Luke.
8. You're a man now, basically. I have a 4-year-old, and Jack is convinced that when he turns 5, he has all the rights and privileges of an adult, as far as he's concerned. That 5-year-old birthday for Jack might as well be his 21st birthday in his own mind.
8 was 3rd grade, I think. 3rd grade. It's a good age. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Luke. Stay away from those menthols.
This is why my channel's the best, because I'm ready to celebrate.
Look at you.
Kids' birthdays at all times. Take that, Dave Lombardi. Whose channel's better than that? You got a party hat? You got a party hat, Lombardi?
Party Lombardi. You actually called him out today, didn't you? Did you say something about he knows more football because he's got the Lombardi name?
So I said, we were walking off the field and we were just joking about something. And I don't know. I mean, dude, Dave and I get along great. I'm not starting static with Dave at all. I think he's great at his job. But yeah, I did. I said something. You think you know everything, Lombardi? It must be the last name.
Gina says, "Oh, happy 8th birthday, Luke." Look at that. Butthead says, "Luke, I am your father."
There you go.
There you go.
Did you see that Beavis and Butthead Saturday Night Live skit?
No.
So there was a Beavis and Butthead Saturday Night Live skit when they had Ryan Gosling hosting a few weeks ago. And if you Google SNL Beavis and Butthead, what's funny about it is everybody in the skit breaks.
Okay.
Like they all start laughing and everyone loses it right there on the set. And it's pretty good because of that. It's pretty funny.
Nice. Okay, that's going to do it for us tonight for the most part. We'd like to thank everybody. Almost have 2,000 people in the room. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this live stream as well. And thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles down in Pacific Grove, down along the Monterey Peninsula. And give Anthony Catania a call down there. He's a great guy. He's at 831-521-5264.
Larry, I got free chips and a drink for anyone on your channel who is watching this right now who wants to go to Ike's, download that Ike's Rewards app, and upon checkout, use promo code DINNERDAMON between now and June 8th, and it upgrades you to a combo meal. With every sandwich purchase, you get your chips, you get your drink for free with the promo code DINNERDAMON. Ike's, not just for lunch anymore. These are substantial sandwiches. They can be dinner. Go
Monty
get dinner.
Monty says, Lowry, give us a bulky.
It's so funny that Damon's talking about Ike because Ike's I love Ike. Ike's a football guy. Okay, he's a football guy. And what does that mean? That means he goes to the Super Bowl. And he put Damon and I up in a hotel during the Super Bowl week. And for that reason alone, Ike is not just a football guy, he's a hell of a guy. And whether he's got 2 ACLs, 1 ACL, an MCL, a partially torn PCL, Ike's good with me. As far as I'm concerned.
Could you put an ACL on a sandwich? Like when you remove the cadaver, could you make a sandwich out of an ACL? Could you do that?
That's a hell of a chewy ACL you got there, sir.
Words of Wisdom says, good night, guys. Much love. Thank you. Words of wisdom.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Like and subscribe, and we will be back at Wake Up, I guess, on Monday, since Larry is lost in the woods and thinking about a career in radio once again or something.
It's gonna be me and Guru, and we're gonna be talking. You know, it's kind of. I'll look at the board of calls, and I'll say, pick one, Goo. Go ahead, Goo. Pick one. Pick one. I told Tom, and Tom used to tell me I should tell Tate. I miss Vinny Danfus. I miss sitting on the glass. Sometimes I think to myself, you know what? I'm just one more good Jeff Friesen interview away from being on top of the radio world. Damon wanted to be me. He never could be me. I'm an individual. I'm a one of one, as they say. And the reason I'm a one of one is that I came to you vis-a-vis USF, and Damon came to you vis-a-vis Indiana, and USF is local, and I pride myself on my local status.
Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Wake Up After Dark. Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
And get out there and be a football guy.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.
No, the wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah, Krug screwed up the clothes. Come on, Krug.